Keys to the Commonwealth, a podcast where we share the real stories of local community members who are using real estate to build personal wealth, along with tips and tricks from professionals across the industry. And now, your host, Landry Fields.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. I am excited. Today's guest, we're going to have a totally different kind of discussion on something I think is pretty exciting as far as the development, as far as the future, I think, in a lot of ways of real estate development, whether that's residential, even commercial in that respect. But we'll kind of hear from him himself. But I'm pleased to have Aaron White on today's guest. So, Aaron, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, native Kentuckian. Before we kind of dive into what you are doing with your company, which is Thru Plans, which I've obviously seen a lot of that around as far as that because you recently launched. We'll get into that, but kind of jump back into DeLorean and kind of explain who you are, how you kind of got into what you're doing now.
My family was in construction, a company called Tri-Way Construction out of Lexington and surrounding areas. Yeah. So I grew up in the construction realm. Every summer, I was constantly out there in the heat, regardless of what other fun activities I had planned. I was always with the family doing construction, masonry, concrete work, everything and anything you can imagine. Okay. And I think that's kind of what harbored me into being fascinated with building things. Yeah. So fast forward through time, I've got a bit of an interesting track record in academia. Started out at UK in mechanical. Okay. I was an engineering mind. I thought it was very interesting, and I just loved to get my hands dirty and create things. Sure. Somehow I ended up at Georgia Tech with a master's in analytics, complete opposite side of the spectrum. Okay. From going from mechanical all the way over to analytics just is not anywhere near the same. Right. It just... You don't see those two things together, but nowadays... I started out in electrical at UK and then ended up switching, but... Yeah. That's another story for another day, though. Oh, yeah. Okay. So along with that, I spent a lot of time doing mechanical engineering up in Chicago. I took a position up there, probably 5 years ago. Okay. And I developed alternate fuel engine applications. So that would be engines that operate off of LPG, CNG, propane, and they're meant to be diesel derivatives. So you see these giant trucks out running around, garbage trucks, USPS trucks, fleet vehicles. They all operate off of that alternate fuel. So it's essentially zero emissions, and we're just their whole vision was to make the planet, make the world cleaner, make it better, and get away from... using gasoline products and byproducts. So I did a lot of that. When I was there, I started developing what they call predictive analytics. So it was about taking maintenance schedules and shaping them based on the analytics, the telematics that are coming off of the engines and all of the fleet vehicles, and then shaping that into predictive algorithms that are based out of analytics. Yeah. So that's where I started tinkering into analytics. Okay. So that was my bridge or my biggest chasm from jumping from mechanical all the way over to analytical. From there, after I finished working with that company for several years, I ended up transitioning to a software company where I've been working ever since. Okay. And developing software packages and pieces of software that are based around analytics, but also just advanced product development in general is where I tend to harbor myself. Okay, interesting. So that's is that what got you? So I guess before we finishing the jump there into, you now have created a company called Thru Plans and kind of just talk about what that is, I guess, on a surface level right now and type of thing, kind of finish the story. So Thru Plans is a way for clients to be able to really visualize their space. It's aimed at resolving a pain point and being able to visualize a space. It could be a house, it could be a commercial property, it could be a new architectural design, remodeling, rework, anything that you can. It could be space planning for furniture. Yeah. All the above, but there's this common pain point between us humans where it's difficult to visualize things. We live in a 3D world, but it's very difficult for someone to give you a piece of paper and say, okay, now visualize this in your mind of what I'm trying to tell you of what you should be spending your money on. Here's my thought. I want you to understand it. Here's a 2D piece of paper, so figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, it's a big issue, and me myself, that's a big issue for me. So I thought that there was a unique way to take some of my experiences and my knowledge and shape an offering that solved that pain point, but also did it in a framework of efficiency and optimization. Yeah. And throughout all of my career, it's really been anchored, the linchpin has been anchored in optimizing business operations, improving efficiencies, and just trying to use technology to make things better.
Sure.
And that is essentially what led me into my mission and vision into Walkthrough Plans. And that's where I am today.
And I was able to come out probably about a month ago and see the facility, because obviously you've got a huge warehouse now, and to kind of put this into a framework for those listening or not seeing this and stuff like that. There's a giant warehouse room, and essentially with projectors all over the place, and you've got flooring mapped out, almost I think like to scale, right? As far as like what maybe someone's house plans would be, or what the different aspects of like their kitchen layout or things like that would be, and you can move kind of even furniture around and things that are on beds, kind of a deal around in different places to kind of see where it'll fit, how it'll plan. So walk me through a little bit of that as far as the setup, what goes on there, what are clients utilizing that for and so forth.
I mean, first of all, great. I should hire you as a commission-based sales rep, because that was well done. You're right. A lot of it is based around new development, new builds, homeowners or builders that are trying to get their concepts across to homeowners. So if I were to walk you through it, you would walk into this gigantic 9,000 square foot studio. It's completely pitch black, and then I'll turn the projectors on. Mm-hmm. And what you're going to see is on the ground, you'll have about 3,200 square feet that's illuminated on a 1-to-1 scale. Yep. So that is you actually stepping inside your plans as they would be without paying any money or doing any sort of putting a stick in the ground. There's no construction required yet. You walk in, you're in your home, you're seeing things, walking through it 1-to-1 scale, and then on the vertical wall, you've got also, it's 55 foot by 18 foot wide image of, it could be your renderings, it could be your elevations, it could be inspirational images, it could be a virtual walkthrough. Yeah. It could be another plan in comparison. A lot of people like to use it. They'll put their cabinet elevations at a 1-to-1 scale. So if they're walking into their kitchen, this is how your cabinets are arranged. This is what it looks like. Here's what it's going to feel like. The missing piece to kind of your intro to what it was is being able to make changes in real time. So here's the real impactful thing. Here's the real game changer that comes along with being able to visualize and then be in your space on a 1-to-1 scale, is actually being able to make a change. Yeah. So imagine it this way. You're walking in your, let's do this place. You're walking in this new commercial property, and you're developing it, or you're setting it up. The build out's going to be something similar to what you have now. So you would walk in, I would have your plan on the ground, and we would have whatever elevations or inspirational images you would want on the wall. And those can be in color as well. So this can be actual representations of material finishes also. Yeah. And what we would do is, if you had the DWG file, we would then make changes as you see fit on the ground. If there's architectural changes, or if you're working with an architect or a designer or even a builder, bring him along with you, bring her along with you, bring everyone with you into this one collaborative space and make changes right now. You want different floor textures and colors? Great. We change it on the fly right then and there. And it's done. Everything is done immersively. Yeah. You're seeing the change reflected in real time below your feet and on the wall as you're walking through this space. Yeah. And it allows you to be able to get a decision made. We're all trying to do things with a limited amount of time. We're all jam-packed to our gills with all kinds of things that we've packed in our schedule.
Sure. And sometimes the texture scenario, like a floor, that doesn't make a huge deal. But it's like, hey, I wish this room would have been differently. Well, there's no going back from that a lot of times, or ceiling height, or kitchen space size, or whatever type of thing.
Yep. It's all about, the name of the game is change orders. So on average, 12% of construction is due to rework. You're going to be paying 12% on average throughout the industry.
Yeah.
12% of that's going to be rework.
Okay.
Takes on average 7.5 months to build a home. What's the value of that? What's it worth to you to be able to get a home built faster? What's the value to you to be able to streamline your operations?
Yeah.
What's it worth to you to be able to do that? And apparently there's a lot of worth there, and there's a lot of efficiencies that we're able to improve by utilizing the service.
I mean, because I guess if you take like more of a custom home, say $600,000-700,000, I mean, 12% can be, easily $70,000 or $80,000, $90,000 then.
On average, it's astounding. And the average cost avoidance for change orders, let me clarify, for change orders specifically for residential, the average is $4,500, stemming all the way up to $10,000.
Okay.
So you've got a huge window. That's just for residential. That's just for homes.
Yeah.
Now, if you step into commercial property, or you step into larger projects, or even restaurants, surprising to me, restaurants is sky high change orders. Okay. And even trying to optimize their space to get more tables in.
Yeah. And
be able to set up their kitchen flows so that the incoming product is getting is getting essentially, I don't want to say built, but its incoming quality is getting made.
Yeah.
And then your output or your throughput through the business needs to be high enough. So you want to look at where those pinch points and those opportunities exist. And this is a fantastic way to bring your team in and make changes on the fly. If you want the kitchen here or the cooktop here, if you want the pickup spots here, maximizing that has exponential value to it.
Interesting. So we're obviously kind of the starting point. Like, what kind of got you off the ground as far as here's where I want to start type of scenario? And we'll kind of talk about more of the future here in a second, but where did it kind of all begin for you with this?
As far as just
like how you envision this whole thing, or what kind of, where the entry point was for you in that sense?
I was trying to, all of this started, I was trying to build my own, I wanted to build my own home. That's kind of everybody's dream. You want to build your own home. I want to build my home for my family and myself.
Yeah.
And I had about 30 different images in a folder on my laptop, and I'm sitting here thumbing through everything. I want my kitchen to look like this. I want my bathroom and my closet to look like this. And they're all Instagram, and you've got all these beautiful images, but how am I to be able to realize them on a reliable one-to-one scale to be able to make a decision?
Yeah.
I can't do that with just an image. And being able to visualize things, I want to know for certain that that's exactly what I'm getting, and it's going to work and flow and feel the way that it needs to for me and my family. If I'm going to give you the biggest potential commitment that I've made so far for me and my family money-wise, I want to know for sure that it's going to be exactly the way that I want it, and I do not want to have to go do any rework or pay for any change orders, because if I'm understanding the process correctly, we're going to talk about a concept, and then we're going to agree on it, and we're going to spend some money. And I want to know that the outcome is going to be exactly the way that I want it, and it's going to be it's going to be what I love.
So you've built out kind of the first wave here with probably like custom home builders, designers, and engineers, and architects and so forth like that. Where's kind of the future, especially like you talked about a little kitchen space and commercial? I see a huge advantage for commercial spaces, people trying to do franchise spec buildings, different kinds of different stuff. Like, I'm sure that's kind of just opened up a whole new window on the commercial space side too.
Yes. I initially started in residential. It just made sense.
We still do.
You still do. I'm still heavily in residential, heavily working with architectural firms. It just makes really good sense for them.
Yeah.
Because part of their value prop is getting their design concept across to their clients, right. And their clients have to feel good about that. What better way to do that other than building something out is to walk them through that on a one-to-one scale and allow them to make changes in certain areas that they know better than you.
Because you're not having to design it necessarily. You're taking the existing files of the design and projecting them in real time in that immersive experience.
Yep.
So especially on the commercial side, that's like you said, I think it could be a huge advantage too, especially when it might be where we're going to be building 12, 15, 25 of these across the country or whatever it is type of scenario versus just even one, which still has a big value proposition, but even more so probably in commercial, I bet.
Yep, commercial is huge. That's where I'm at now, working with architectural firms and then looking at commercial development. Mm-hmm. That's where the decimal point changes for them, and making small mistakes have a major impact on staying on time and on budget. Yeah. And those tend to they cascade themselves out of control, and they can have some really offset effects when it comes to staying on time and on budget and just trying to keep everyone sane and just efficiency. Let's stop doing things silly and start doing them smarter by using the technology that we have to make better decisions.
I've even seen, I'm not trying to go into another tangent, but I've seen some of the technology just from the construction side of things, going back to that background a bit, where you have these helmets with built-in kind of like augmented reality. For those that don't know, augmented reality is a blend of virtual reality and your actual reality that you're seeing, where they can kind of literally see the plans through. It's kind of, have you seen this? Like, I'm glad, like these eyewear, and so they can literally see, like, here's exactly where this wall line is supposed to be, or this screw or bolt, or just by looking at it through the lens of stuff like that. It's amazing where kind of the technology is going on the construction and contracting side of things. Oh yeah, and you're probably more up to speed on it than I am. I just saw that a few months back. I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. But that whole area, that whole idea has been kind of as far as, I've spoken to some engineers and like that, and just a lot of the software or the things that are out there and tools have been behind the times from what I understand in a lot of ways. Like it was kind of like set, and you were still using technology that had really been around for a long time, that it's exciting and to find areas now where people that are being inventive and entrepreneurial like yourself and stuff like that are able to kind of figure out here, let's find some better ways of doing some of this stuff. And obviously you've kind of done that. Speaking now, kind of transitioning a little bit to more of like the future of walkthrough plans. I mean, obviously I just spoke about like augmented reality, and in this case, you're really not doing at the walkthrough plans facility. You're not at this point, to my understanding, doing that. Are we at this point? It's just the immersive experience. But is that something that's coming in some respects at all, or? Yes. Sorry to throw you for a loop there.
No,
but
yes.
I wanted to kind of catch you off guard on that a little bit. But I could see where I'm sure you are, like, here's where this is, and this is one part of it, but I could also see where this would be something that could accompany that and make it even more powerful type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Augmented reality, a lot of that started in manufacturing and being able to realize manufacturing processes, but also specifically for the training, to be able to equip your technicians or your employees with the ability to train in a different visualization realm, other than having to necessarily have them walking through the assembly plant or disrupting operations. You can train them in a different site or a different location with augmented reality. So translating to now, we've got VR. Yeah. VR is great. VR is another great tool to use, but it's still in its I don't want to say infancy, but it's still in its development phases where we're incorporating different features with different requirements for each different use case. Yeah. Each different industry, each different way that we're trying to use it. We've got to shape that tool the right way so everybody can gain value out of it. So here's what we're doing now with Walkthrough Plans. We're taking VR, we're allowing that, we're providing that to our customers at the end phase.
Okay.
So the reason I say that is because it's expensive.
Yeah.
VR, let alone, is expensive. It's probably $2 to $3 a square foot is to get a model rendered.
Yeah.
And to have it in a format that is utilizable per the plan. There's some nuances that need to be worked out with VR to make it really beneficial. And most importantly, only one person can view it at a time.
Yeah.
You put a headset on, you're only going to be able to view it, and there's a field of space that you can work with.
There's a lot of difference between standing on space and just doing a 360 looking around versus being able to actually physically walk through a space, or vastly different aspects of the VR, which is why, everybody talks about AI kind of changing everything, right? Obviously, that's but one of the things, a phrase I keep hearing, and I think is so true, is that AI won't necessarily replace people. People using AI will replace people, type of thing. And similar, I think, with maybe like virtual reality might not fully take over everything, but people using a blend of that, being more of augmented reality with everyday life and use cases and so forth, and having goggles that can be your computer screen but still see the real world at the same time in different places. Like, that's going to be, I think, that place that's more tangible for people to kind of pick it up on and something like that. So.
Exactly. It needs to be rooted in real world, something that's humanly relatable. And by being able to have the projected plans on a 1-to-1 scale where you're in them on the ground and on the wall, you're in this immersive space.
Yeah.
When you get to the point where you're happy with your plans and you're moving forward, then we do the VR model.
Yeah.
Then we take that step to where we can build a model, since it's costly right now, and it gets cheaper as technology gets better, but it's costly now. So unless there's a way to price rationalize that with say, if you're doing a condo development or a huge apartment complex, and you want to offer as a competitive advantage or a differentiator to your new prospective tenants or owners, you say, come buy one of mine, and I'll let you walk through a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom without actually having to build a model home or build a model. And then you give them the option of making design changes with the VR headset or the iPad.
Yeah.
I want a countertop this way. I want the flooring this way. I want the walls this way. Accent ceilings. You want all these things. You allow them to be able to make those changes, allow them to have more of an influence in their design process. And now you've got a story.
Yeah.
Now they're tethered to this property, and they've got a story to tell everyone about it. I got to walk through this house, my house before construction started. I got to wear VR goggles and make design changes. Now I feel like I have more ownership of something that I took all this time and money to pay for.
Yeah.
Now I have something that I can truly say is mine, and that I had more ownership over.
Yeah. And to that point, I mean, there'd be less friction then in the process, because you had such an implemental aspect of those decisions and could see it. And so, if you did want to make a change or something like that, it's not because it wasn't something you weren't expecting already. You realize, okay, no, I went down this, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't realize it was going to look this way type of a scenario. So you kind of remove that friction from the whole process and make the whole process much smoother on the back end once things really get going.
Oh man, you'd be surprised that not a single person or group that has come in yet has not made a change.
Yeah.
They're all going, wow, I didn't think 2,100 square feet was going to be this. I think we should go to 2,600. Yeah, we should have stayed with my original thought. or this is not going to work for assembly operations. This machine is not going to fit in here. This is not going to work. Or this bank layout, I can't see across the bank. And if I'm a teller, if I can't see who I'm talking to, or you're a disconnected entity, and it doesn't flow, even for security purposes. But for a lot of other things, it doesn't work, and you will not get that unless you're able to be in an immersive environment like this, where every single time they'll start to pick something up. But I have to mention something with an asterisk, and this is a very important part of this, and that this is required. You need to put this in a specific part of your process. So if you put it in too early, you leave the opportunity for stagnation or insanity, where people will just make changes just to make changes. And
sometimes you make so many changes, you're like, I just need to restart from the beginning.
Now it's inefficient. Now it's not optimized. Now it goes against all the rules that it should. So I have certain objectives and a process that when you come in, we go over the objectives of what you're here for. We stay focused. We're time managed. We're event based. And you put it at the right part of your process just before you go in to do any sort of building. And you go through everything and you know what changes what can be made and where those changes are. And that's why it's detrimental that the architect and the builder and the designer are part of this process with you. So now you're taking months of emails and communications and back and forth and all of this decision making. Yeah. You're able to do that in a couple of hours with everybody there. What's that worth to you is my question to ask everybody else.
Yeah, that's a great point. And totally, I see that. Where's the kind of the future then for walkthrough? Is it going to be places all over across the U.S. or what's kind of the envision there, or what you're allowed to say maybe at this point, because maybe there's some plans you don't want to give away yet?
I've got some opportunities for franchises already.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I didn't think that it'd get picked up that fast, but there are opportunities for franchises already in 3 different states.
Wow.
My feedback...
Is this just launched, in all truthfulness, as far as when you kind of open those doors? Really what?
3 months and this year. 2 weeks.
Yeah. And so you can already see, like, it's just more like hang on for the ride, because it's like something that was missing is needed and it's only going to grow.
It really... It's... Yes, but it's so strange. It's very difficult to get the concept across because people will see it and they'll go, "Yeah, I know what that is. That's cool." But
sure,
they leave it at the but. Everyone who's come in, I have blown their mind. Everyone does the exact same thing. They take 5 steps in the door, and they stop and they just go, "Wow, oh, okay, whoa." Oh, now I get it.
I thought I knew, but
I thought I knew what this was.
It's like describing the Grand Canyon, but also in one sense actually being there at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. So they walk in, they all do the exact same thing, and then we spend the next 10 minutes, and they just sort of start connecting the dots. Oh, I can use it here. Yeah. Oh, we need to use it here. We need to get these people down here and use this here.
Yeah.
It just makes sense for us to do it this way. Mm-hmm. And once they actually start understanding, by being in the space, being in the studio, then it makes sense. Then they start clicking on it and they start understanding, okay, here, now I see it. Now I see what you're talking about. Now I see why you're being a nut about, you guys got to come down here and check this out.
And from the engineering and architectural standpoint, I can see how it could be a massive time saver too. You're just saying, like, all right, let's all meet, like you said, let's all meet here. Let's get on the same page. And you can shrink down what was probably a back and forth of hours, if not days, if not weeks, down to like a few hours spent inside walkthrough plans.
One architectural firm that I worked with gave me, I'm a data-driven guy, analytics, data-driven. If it ain't real if it ain't measurable. So they gave me some data, and it saved them 4 months.
On what kind of single-family home or?
4 months on a project. They were able to get it done 4 months faster.
Wow.
So they were able to mitigate supply chain issues, for one. But working backwards, what they did, they brought all their architects in that were associated with this project. Mm-hmm. And they all came into one space, and they were reviewing 2 different plans. So we layered them on top of each other, and we went back and forth for about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And we noted changes, and we made changes in real time with them. And from that point forward, they came back a week later with the client, and they walked through those proposed plans with them, talked them through it. And I should note that the image on the ground is not static. So it could be a 100,000 square foot warehouse. It doesn't matter. The image is going to move within that space, and you're going to walk through the entire facility or project, whatever it may be, hospital, it could be anything. You're going to walk all the way through it. So once they brought the client in and they walked them through the 4 pain points that the client had. The client said, I've got to meet these. Here's my requirements and my criteria. I've got to meet these. One by one, we walked through them all. They were done in 45 minutes with the client. The client was ecstatic about it. They got this awesome new experience. They got to visualize their space, gain certainty about what they're paying for and what they're going to get. Plus, I'm not going to expel these numbers, but plus they're saving a massive amount of time, massive amount of money by being able to do this in a collaborative space, bringing everyone together and getting decisions made and a contract signed.
And that's going to be a great feeling too, knowing that like the impact that can have on businesses, but too, just seeing probably people's faces as they leave the facility, of knowing like every time, like, you know, it's like, it makes it all worthwhile and stuff like that. How long, and to back up, like, how long did you work before you opened the doors, you know, 3 to 4 months ago? How much time did it take to kind of get off the ground? I don't think I asked that part of it. From kind of initial
planning,
conception,
moving from POC, MVP, all the way through to where you could actually soft launch a year. Yeah. So it was a tremendous amount of technical planning, technical know-how, and just facility build-out that's required to be able to house this, because it's very, very particular, and the details matter with this specific thing. And it's a lot of it's about the experience. If you're really talking about it, it's by being able to offer a new and a rare experience to someone. Anyone is going to love that. It's just a multiplicative factor that you dump on top of it, and they're just ecstatic about doing it. And now they've got a story to go tell everyone. I just worked with this architect, this builder, this contractor, and they let me do this. And then they're posting about it online. And in a day and age where Google reviews and social media presence matter in how your business is going to do for everybody now, being able to have your clients come back and have just raving reviews about being able to work with you and being able to have this as a new part of your process was a big thing for them.
That's a good point.
It was a big thing, but they're not paying for advertising. Now the clients are advertising for them. And now when people come in and say, I got a plan, I'm trying to figure out a house, or I'm trying to figure out this new commercial space I want to start a business in. I've got it roughed out on a napkin, and my team and I took some duct tape and did it on the ground, and I was like, oh man, guys, come here.
That's funny to say that. I totally did that on a napkin for this exact office that when I was designing it in my head type of a thing. That's actually too funny.
But we've all done it, so we know that pain point, and it should be immediately apparent that, hey guys, this is a much easier way to do it. And now the clients come to me and they say, I've got this image and this plan in my head. What plans do you have that are similar to this? And now with all my partners, with the builders and architects who have partnered with me, I can provide their plans. I'm now their sales guy. I'm bringing clients to them through me.
Interesting.
And it's working both sides of the model for them.
Yeah. That's great.
That wasn't intended by any means. That is just something that just kind of propagated.
Such a new avenue or a new part of the process. I mean, really, that's what you've done. You created a whole new part of the process that did not exist really prior. That's what's going to happen. Is you're going to be like, I never even thought this was going to happen, or this could come out of this, or this part of it. So that's exciting. So, hey, props to you. It's been exciting. I'm glad I was able to come see the space there at the launch, or not the soft launch, but one of the main launches you had there, and it's really cool. So if you haven't heard about this, or just now hearing about this, where can they can go find out more? Where's the website or contact info?
You can log on to the website, www.walkthroughplans.com. Social media links are there. We keep our content updated. We're building testimonials. We're having to kind of work backwards since we were going so fast in the beginning. We don't have the testimonials recorded, so we're trying to trying to build up that base so that we've got a human and relatable form that shows that it's something And go on the social media sites, follow us. And my contact information, my cell number, my email address is on there. If you have any questions, just reach out, and I will work with you on that.
There you go. Aaron, appreciate you coming on the show today. It's exciting. And I'm also just excited to see where things go with you, because obviously I don't know where the limit is or where this goes. Obviously, when you create a new space, I mean, it's just more like you said, we talked about, just hold on for the ride, because who knows? Yeah.
I have no idea. Right. I'm just trying to make sure I steer this thing the right way to make it really represent its vision and its mission, and to stay rooted and providing value to everyone. And that's really where it has to live.
And exciting that it's coming out of Kentucky.
That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Right. So appreciate it. Thanks for your time. And we will see everybody back on next week's episode of the Keys to the Commonwealth podcast. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
To learn more about this podcast, visit our page at keystothecommonwealth.com. To connect with Landry regarding insuring your investment portfolio, email Landry at novaInsuranceGroup.com or call 859-687-2004.